Hi, I'm Nicholas from RTINGS.com. Today we'll be doing a review of the INNOCN 27M2V. This popular monitor is one of the few that use mini LED, and we'll get into what that means later. It also features a 4K resolution and a 160Hz refresh rate. INNOCN released this monitor and the 32-inch 32M2V, but the review is only valid for this 27-inch model. The first thing we're going to do is look at the design. It has a rather simple but unique look with silver plastic and etched lines on the back. Besides its RGB lighting, nothing makes you go wow about it, but it isn't an ugly monitor either. The build quality, however, is just okay because the plastic feels a bit cheap. It isn't very well put together, and the bottom bezel isn't perfectly flush with the screen either. Even the stand is plastic and the screen wobbles easily, which is disappointing, but it's fine if you have a stable desk. There are reports of people online experiencing coil whine issues, but we didn't notice that. Looking at the stand, it offers excellent ergonomics as you can adjust it in many ways. However, it doesn't rotate a full 90 degrees into portrait mode, so even though you could technically use the screen in portrait mode, it still isn't perfectly level. Luckily, the stand has a cutout for cable management to keep your cables organized. While we're in the back, let's take a look at what it offers in terms of inputs. All the ports are down facing and tucked into the back of the monitor, so they can be hard to reach. It has a DisplayPort input and 2 HDMI ports supporting HDMI 2.1 bandwidth. Lastly, it has a USB hub with a USB-C port, which supports DisplayPort alt mode, and it has 90 watts of power delivery. This means you can easily connect a laptop to display an image from it and charge it with a single cable, which is very convenient. Looking back at the front, there are 5 buttons underneath the right side of the screen to control the on-screen display. However, they aren't as easy to use as monitors with a joystick, and even the OSD's interface is hard to use. It isn't user-friendly, and changing settings is difficult. So choosing your favorite settings and leaving them like that after is probably the best thing to do. Before we get into the performance, let's quickly look at the extra features. It has things you'd expect to find in most monitors, like crosshairs and a blue light filter. It also has picture-in-picture and picture-by-picture modes, and a sensor that adjusts the brightness based on your room's lighting. It does have a USB switch setting that you might be able to use like a KVM switch, but because there are some people online saying that using this setting breaks the monitor to the point where you can't even use it, we didn't even try it out. Now, let's move on to the most important part, the performance. This monitor is known for its mini LED backlighting, and it doesn't disappoint. Monitors with mini LED backlighting have an advantage over standard backlit displays because they have more control over the dimming zones, which helps result in deeper blacks and brighter highlights. The INNOCN has over 1100 dimming zones and a good local dimming feature, which is also better than other mini LED monitors. Although it has a low native contrast ratio, the local dimming deepens blacks to look great in dark rooms, and it also keeps details in dark scenes, like a star field, as there isn't much black crush. There isn't much blooming either, which is great if you want to use subtitles while watching content, but it performs best when looking at it from directly in front. This is because there's more blooming when viewing from the sides, but you have to be at a fairly wide angle to notice any difference. The other advantage of using mini LED backlighting is that it makes highlights bright. That's the case here, as it gets very bright in HDR. The brightness is locked to its max, and local dimming is always on in HDR, so you'll always get that bright image. Not being able to change the brightness can be annoying too, but this is the case with most monitors anyways. Combining the high brightness with its deep blacks, highlights pop and stand out against the rest of the image. The high peak brightness is also useful if you want to use the monitor in a bright room. Even in SCR, the screen gets bright enough to fight glare and has decent reflection handling. Visibility shouldn't be a problem in most bright rooms and office spaces. If you do want to use it in a work environment and constantly need to share your screen with someone else, then it's important to have wide viewing angles. The viewing angles on this monitor are decent enough to share the screen with someone sitting next to you, but the image washes out and looks faded from really wide angles. When facing the monitor from directly in front, you'll find it has great color accuracy in SDR and displays a wide range of colors in HDR. Unless you need the most accurate colors possible for content creation, you won't need to get it calibrated. It has a dedicated sRGB mode, which unlike most monitors, doesn't lock you out of changing most picture settings, so you can use it and still change other things, which is great. Other than that, it tone maps well and has fantastic HDR color volume, displaying bright and dark colors well. Plus, text and images are sharp and clear thanks to the high pixel density. Now that we've discussed the picture quality, let's look at some of the gaming performance. We'll start with motion. As mentioned at the start of the video, it has a max refresh rate of 160Hz. It also supports a variable refresh rate to reduce screen tearing, but there are some quirks. If you use G-Sync or DisplayPort connection, you can only reach a max refresh rate of 144Hz. You either need to use a fixed refresh rate or use FreeSync over HDMI if you want to reach the max of 160Hz. Besides that, it has impressive motion handling with a fast response time, so motion looks smooth and there isn't too much motion blur with fast moving objects. Gaming also feels responsive at high refresh rates because it has low input lag. However, that input lag increases a lot more with 60Hz signals, which isn't ideal for playing 60Hz games like from consoles when you need quick reactions. Speaking about consoles, this monitor works well with the PS5 and Xbox Series X or S. Because of its HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, it can take full advantage of either console for 4K gaming up to 120Hz. However, for 1440p at 60Hz to work on the Xbox, you need to use the console's HDMI override setting, which also disables VRR, but this is something many other monitors experience too. While we're on the topic of compatibility, we also test for how it works with macOS, and this monitor doesn't exactly like macOS. If you're connecting a MacBook or any other Mac computer over USB-C, the max refresh rate you can get is 120Hz. You can also enable VRR when you first set it to a 120Hz refresh rate, but the implementation of VRR is iffy at times. There's flicker on the screen in different scenarios, like when you have VRR or HDR enabled, which can be annoying. There are fixes to this, which you can read about in the full review. On top of that, there's also some flicker on the screen even when using a 4K resolution, and the only way of fixing it is by sending a 1080p signal, which isn't exactly something you want to do with a 4K monitor. All this to say, you definitely can use the monitor with a Mac computer, but you'll experience some issues. This brings us to the main question. Should you buy this monitor? Even if it has some known flaws, it's a great monitor for what it offers at its price point. It has better local dimming than most monitors, and because it displays deep blacks with bright highlights, it's great for different uses, like if you want to play the latest HDR games or just sit back and watch your favorite shows. It's even an excellent choice if you need it for office work thanks to its 4K resolution. Its main competitor is the Cooler Master Tempest GP27U, which is very similar because it also uses mini LED backlighting. However, the INNOCN is the better choice between the two because it has more dimming zones, so the local dimming feature is better, and it also has fewer bugs. Of course, its increased input lag at 60Hz is a downside for gaming. So if you play games at lower refresh rates and input lag is important for you, then it's worth spending more on a monitor like the Samsung Odyssey Neo G7. However, if this is something you could live with, it still offers smooth motion handling and low input lag at higher refresh rates. Overall, unless you're willing to splurge on more high-end, top-of-the-line models, you could get more bang for your buck with this monitor and you'll be happy with it. Though, just as a note, at the time of filming this video, the INNOCN 27M2V does experience some stock issues on Amazon US. So if you see it and want it, buy it because it might not stay in stock for a while. That's all for the INNOCN 27M2V. If you're interested in learning more, check out our written review on the website. The link is in the description below. Ciao!
However, it doesn't rotate a full 90 degrees.
I forgot. So what's like the scene like? So I just put it here, call him over the camera. Do I just look at the monitor?
Can you appear from